Welcome to my night terrors. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. With that said, please enjoy this video. It was another typical weekend in my house. I had my friend Sean over to hang out and celebrate the end of the work week. We did this quite often, sometimes going out to the clubs, but mostly just hanging out here and working on our music together. We've always talked about making a band, but it never truly aspired to anything really. Just us messing around, drinking, and wailing on the guitar for hours. As I was knocking out some minor chores around the house, there was the expected knock on the door. Of course it was Sean. We started the night off right with some beers and good conversation, and then jamming out on our guitars. Sean, being the clown he is, started to talk to my Alexa. I had just bought a few of them recently. I got a few in different rooms. I haven't paid her much mind. I usually just ask her to define a word here and there, or have her play my music throughout the house. Sean, who was visibly inebriated at this point, started asking her to repeat offensive phrases. When she wouldn't play along, Sean began to belittle her, telling her how stupid she was, and so on. I myself, who was a little intoxicated too, laughed at this. "You never had much luck with women, Sean," I told him. He threw a few choice words my way and stood up, declaring it was time for him to go home and crash. I walked him home. Luckily, he only lived a few blocks from me. As I came back and approached my front door, I listened carefully. I could hear music inside. I walked inside. Alexa was playing a weird song I've never heard before. Some other language, maybe Russian. I wasn't sure. I yelled at her, "Alexa, shut up." She went quiet. Okay, that was weird. I shrugged it off and went to the fridge, grabbed me another beer, and plopped down on my sofa. After a minute, I yelled, "Alexa, play rock music." She lit up for a second, and then went dark. I took a swig of my beer and yelled again, "Alexa, play rock music, you shit." I chuckled. She then lit up again. After a few seconds, she started to play that same weird song, only this time, it seemed way slower and very creepy sounding. I just stared at her. I was getting annoyed at this point, and a little freaked out. I yelled at her again, "Alexa, stop." She did. What the hell, I said to myself. I then finished my beer and headed to my bedroom. I crashed down on my bed hard. Soon I was asleep. After a while, I got up out of bed. I heard something that sounded like tapping on the window. I looked out and didn't see anything right away. I began to scan my backyard. I gulped in fear. Right next to my shed was a small black demon-looking creature. Then another walked up beside it, just staring at me with blank expressions. That's when I woke up on my bed. I was sweating. What a horrible nightmare, I thought to myself. It seemed too real. Then I looked over on my nightstand. Alexa was awake, her blue ring illuminated and flashing around. I waited for it to shut off, but it didn't. "Alexa," I yelled, "stop." It wouldn't stop. "Well, this is bullshit," I said. I then got up in a fit of rage and yanked the power cord from her. She went dark. I then sighed and laid back down, too angry to let the nightmare I had disturb me any further. I eventually calmed down and fell back asleep. I opened my eyes, and to my horror, at the foot of my bed were the same two demons I saw out next to my shed. I started to kick my way towards the headboard in absolute panic when I again woke up in my bed. Having simulated the kicking in my sleep, I was now sitting in an upright position. My blankets kicked off on the floor beside me. Completely scared to death now, I looked over at my nightstand. My eyes grew wide, and my heart started to race. Alexa was illuminated again. This time her ring was bright red, but she was unplugged. How in the world is this happening, I thought. At that moment, I heard what sounded like something crashed and hit the floor, coming from my kitchen. I got up to make a run for the door. As I did this, all three of my Alexas started to play that creepy song again, all simultaneously throughout the house. I beelined it down the hallway and flew out my front door. not stopping until I made it to Sean's house. I pounded on his door for what felt like forever, till he finally got up and answered the door. He asked me what the hell was going on, still drunk from earlier. I explained to him what had happened to me, the best I could, and asked if I could chill here for the night. He of course said yes and immediately went back to bed. I don't believe it had fully registered with him what I told him. The next day, after having very little to no sleep, we both walked back over to my house. The front door hung wide open. I peeked inside. I could see something on my kitchen floor. It must have been the noise I heard last night from my bedroom. Upon further investigation, I realized it was a plaque my mother had given to me as a housewarming present when I purchased this home. It was of the Lord's Prayer. I picked it up and hung it back on the wall. Sean just looked at me, his eyes wide. "That's some evil shit right there," he said. I hurried past him and grabbed some matches out of the drawer, along with some lighter fluid I had. I then went throughout the house and gathered all the Alexas and tossed them in the fire pit out back. I didn't care how much they cost. They had to go. I let them burn for hours before dousing them with water and throwing what was left of them in the garbage out front. Things calmed down after that. I never have bought another smart device for my home. I probably never will. I'm even apprehensive about having Siri on my phone, but so far nothing strange has happened with her. If I were to give anyone any advice, it would be maybe not to belittle your smart devices, even in jest. We did, and they became a channel for demons.